So we're doing this board gaming thing. Second edition, third edition, fourth edition. We have a favorite title. Or maybe it's a title that we missed out on initially, or we've played through the board gaming club or group or your friend. The vlog question, when do you pick up a new edition? Or is picking up a new edition worth it over the old edition? Now, when I explore the various editions of titles in my collection, there are a few that I have every single edition. An example would be Runebound 3rd edition. Runebound 2nd edition, I absolutely love, but I got into Runebound 2nd edition in the beginning, then was on pause for a bit, picked up a little bit towards the end. I was never able to be a completionist with that, but I love the mechanics. When 3rd edition was released, I was interested because this was a chance to not only pick up all the expansions along the way being a completionist, but I was interested in this idea where they took the base mechanics of Runebound, kept the base mechanics, refined it. One of the challenges of Runebound 2nd edition is that the grind to level up is essentially open-ended. You're going to go around the entire world for as long as you want before you face the Dragon Lords. The check on that is you're with other players competing to defeat the Dragon Lords. So I can take a long time doing that, level up everything, all my stats, get my good gear. The counter is you're also doing that, and if you pull ahead, you'll beat me. Well, this led to very, very long games where you knew the Dragon Lords that you fight in the end were extremely powerful challenges. And being a dice-based mechanic game with bonuses, you roll 2d10, add them up, and then add up your bonuses, you still wanted to make sure that if you didn't roll well, I could roll like a 1 or a 2 or a 2 and a 3, I needed enough other bonuses to make that happen. So it had this cycle, and I love the game, but it has this cycle where it plays a long, long time. Runebound 3rd edition said, we're going to keep the same idea of leveling up, but we're going to put a timer on this game. We're going to have a timer track that eventually is going to advance to the end game, and you're either ready or not. So you're going to try and make, to the best of your ability, optimized moves along the way. So what we saw was a refinement of the rules. Now, they introduced some new mechanics. In Runebound 2nd edition, you had dice that you rolled, 2d10, standard, tried and true, tested. In 3rd edition, they replaced the attack and defense with these tokens with symbols on them, literally runes, rune-bound. You take these tokens, these runes, and cast them out on the table. Some people like it, some people didn't like it. They were trying to innovate. So that is an example of when I'm looking at a new edition for a game. If I own the previous edition, I would consider picking up the newest edition if we see refinement, dedicated absolute refinement in play, but also maybe a little bit of innovation. Every board game is a snapshot in time, and there's constraints of design, production time, and resources to get it out onto the table. I realize that. So I want to see in a new edition where you improved in some way on the old. If it's a complete reprint and I missed out, well, that's kind of a different story. Yes, it's a new edition, but I wasn't able to buy in to the first edition. Now, here's where things get interesting. If you've been following my channel, talking about these various board games, I love Zombicide. It works as advertised on the box. It does what it says. And in playing Zombicide, what's interesting is I've got Black Plague, I've got Zombicide Invader. I did not jump in on the new release of Zombicide Modern because a good friend of mine, he has the first edition of Zombicide. This is also why I didn't pick up Zombicide Modern initially. His stuff is painted, and he's a fantastic painter. He replaced the car tokens with actual die-cast cars. It's an amazing game. If we're going to play Zombicide Modern, I'm playing on his set for the full immersion. So that's one of the reasons why I never quite picked it up. This is still true, but now I'm looking and saying, well, I like Zombicide in all of its kind of incarnations. It works. It's good. Zombicide Modern, or is it Zombicide Classic, whatever we're calling it, the re-release of it, it's still the same mechanics. Artwork has been updated a little bit, but I'm looking at the miniatures, the production value of the miniatures. So I say that, and the production value of the miniatures are much better. They have been regularly improving the miniatures. It's not Nemesis quality miniatures, but that's not a criticism when you're pumping out a core set for under $100 when you're looking at maybe 80 to 90 retail USD, and you've got 30, 40, 50 plus miniatures. That's pretty good, but they've been increasing and the quality of the miniatures. So if I have a title that's first edition or X edition and I love it, a new edition comes out and the components are significantly better. Significantly better. Even if gameplay is a one-to-one swap. I mean, there's a few tweaks apparently in the new release of Zombicide Modern, but essentially it's a one-to-one swap. But if the components are that much better significantly, I think that is absolutely worth consideration, because now I can get the newest edition, enjoy that gameplay that I know, enjoy the structure of the game, get the benefit of the updated miniatures, and just kind of park my previous edition. So if anything ever happens, or essentially I have a spare copy or a backup copy or an archive type copy. So in that regard, I could see purchasing a new edition. Where I kind of sit, and I'm thinking about this too, we talked about this idea of a collection of games, my second tier games, that I love. They're fantastic. Kingdom Death Monster, I would play that nonstop. Amazing. But you don't just casual KDM. It's a campaign. You've got to make decisions. That's something that you set up for 3, 4, 5, or 6 months, or you play every week for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months. That's a game that, yes, it absolutely solos fantastic, and I've played it that way, but that's a game you want to play with friends and make those decisions together. It's not something that just comes out casual like Zombicide. I say that because playing TI, Twilight Imperium. I love Twilight Imperium. I've got the previous edition from Fantasy Flight Games. I've been thinking about, hey, I know the game is solid. I enjoy playing it. To get a newer copy with some updated artwork, some streamlined rules, and slightly better miniature quality, that's something to consider. But why I haven't done that is Twilight Imperium is something that I play 3, 4, maybe 5 times a year, because we need to schedule that in advance. We need to get the crew together, or new players that know sort of what they're walking into, to say, hey, you want to do TI this weekend? You want to do TI Saturday or TI Sunday? It's something to plan. So because it doesn't hit the table, you're like, Fritz, I play TI every week, bro. You got to come over to my place. I'll take that invite. I'm an okay player at it. I say okay because certainly I can do the strategy thing, but I tend to go for that glory. And I tend to go for some of the different tracks that involve risk and kind of see what I can do, as opposed to just, pure tactics. So I can put up a fight, but you kind of know what I'm going to go for. But you extend that invite, we'll do the TI thing. Absolutely. But it might be different for you, where you're like, I'm playing this regularly. In that case, it's like my experience with Zombicide. I'm playing it regularly. I would absolutely update to get some more rules and to get some improvements. So we're looking at second edition to third edition, or first edition to second edition, or asking the question as a board gaming enthusiast, when do you pick up a new edition of a game?